which I will admittedly say that I've only scanned.
I scanned it too, and there was just one line that I pulled out like, oh. So
Yeah,
I just said that's fine.
Yeah, it's very, but it's funny because it validates my whole blogging experience. Like that's why I was successful, because I wrote down my goals.
Yes.
Okay, so I have the article.
We're live. Hey.
Yeah, we are live. We've been live. I have my wycwyc of the week.
So do I. Go us. And I have.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
No. You're going to talk about what you sent over to me, and then.
Yeah.
Does that mean you don't remember?
No.
Try not to give it away. Or do you feel like you don't remember? Okay.
No. I just have so many windows open. I cannot find any. It's really bad right now. Sorry.
I only have this.
I only
have the Hangout.
Yeah.
And I just was going to talk about applying the book to my life. I've had a couple opportunities recently where it really made me laugh because I did exactly what we say. And I thought, seriously, life is really easy when I practice what I preach. I mean, it feels hard because it's never easy to draw boundaries or whatever it is. But I thought, oh, yes, I just need to do that.
Right.
I know what to do. So that I'm going to talk about that.
No, that's great. Well, that'll work too with the whole my job thing and all that.
Yes.
So, okay, I'll bring us in, and then we'll just do what we do.
Amen.
It's what we do. Oh.
What number are we?
29. I looked it up.
We're almost 30. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm ready too, because we have about 40 minutes and hopefully no editing, because right now our quality seems really good. I'm psyched.
Perfect.
Yes. Okay. Ready?
I'm ready. Welcome to What You Can, When You Can, our wycwyc podcast episode 29.
29. We're almost to 30.
I know. And I feel like before we jump in, we should share that we're recording in the afternoon and I still feel really energetic. It's funny. It's like my brain has burned into it that when I'm podcasting with you, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. So I have this feeling like I've suddenly clicked into being really awake, even though it's 2 o'clock, because I'm used to being awake and starting my day when we podcast.
That's fun. I don't, you know what? I'm so fly by night anymore with my schedule that I don't really.
Oh, well, that's a perfect segue.
It is.
Why are you fly by night? Why are we recording later in the afternoon? Why?
Later in the afternoon and later in the week than we normally record.
Yes, it's Thursday.
Yes, because I got a job.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yay! I'm so excited. And it's not even really.
We should have had a song.
Yeah. Like old time.
What would it be?
Like radio DJs where we had those like little buttons we can hit and like little things.
Yeah.
like Howard Stern. Yes, like we have sound effects. I could add him in post.
No, that would be too fancy. People would think we were fancy. So tell us, what's the job?
Okay, so I've been working for myself for 6 years, and I'm almost 3 years into being a member of a specific gym called Athletic Asylum in my area. And an opportunity kind of bubbled up to manage the gym. They were really kind of lacking someone who was like taking control of social media and promoting and welcoming new members and just kind of building that sense of community that like CrossFit gyms have. And I didn't even have it on my radar. And then someone said, another member goes, well, what about Ronnie? She would be really good at that. And it was like this serendipitous, like, oh, I just sold the conference. I kind of figuring out what I want to do with my life. And we have the book out and we're promoting that. And sure, why don't I give this a try too? And so I'm in kind of a 3-month trial. Like, let's see if this is something I want to do long-term, period.
Which to me is like the greatest thing ever. I would panic. I mean, hearing you say 6 years made me think, oh, I've been the accidental entrepreneur. I was raised by, my dad was a professor. You work for the man. That was very much the attitude. And somehow I graduated from undergrad and have never worked for the man. So it's been almost 25 years I've been doing my own thing. I start to get like a panic attack when I think about a real job. 3 months would be perfect.
Yeah,
it's
a gift. It's definitely a gift. Like I feel like, well, and I did work for the man. I worked for the man and I worked for the academic man. and I worked for lots of men. I did that. And then I'm also like an accidental entrepreneur. I like how you said that, because it was a definitely clear decision for me to quit my job and kind of pursue independent work and start the conference and write the book and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes I feel like I am a worker bee. I enjoy kind of working with people, not necessarily for them anymore, but with them.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. And so I'm kind of, and you know what I have to say, like, so now I'm kind of spending my mornings at the gym, and I'm still in that like kind of orientation phase where I'm still figuring things out. Like, how do we order extra toilet paper, and how do we like what should do I have a fund for that, or am I allowed to spend money on that? Like, I'm still at that like figuring things out phase, but it is fun. I have conversations with other people besides my husband. It's during the day, which is fabulous. And, you know, I'm solving other people's problems. I love solving people's problems. So like, for example, today I was all proud of myself because first thing I did was do a survey, because that's what I do. I did a survey, kind of got like a sense of like what people like about the
survey
gym.
of the members. And did you go with your skills? Oh no, you must not have. You must not have done like Survey Monkey. Was it like?
Of course I did Survey Monkey.
Oh, you did. Okay, so you can always like, do I have to now go to the mimeograph machine?
I did Survey Monkey.
Photocopies.
Our response rate was phenomenal. I would say we had a 40% response rate from current members. And so now it's like, I have like this, like, oh, like they said, hey, we really need something in the bathrooms for our shampoo. And I'm like, I'm on that. I fix that. Like, I like fix.
Does it make you feel like they're finite things? See, what is attractive to me is, yes, we need whatever it is, something in the shampoo in the bathroom, and there's an end. Whereas at times when you're an entrepreneur, there's never an end.
No,
feast or famine, and there's no end.
I use this word with you, and I think I used it on the blog, or I meant to use it on the blog. I wrote this word down.
I know this word.
Tangible. It's like a tangible job. Yeah. And when you're working for yourself, everything's kind of on, you know, there's like a lack of like hands-onness in a weird way. Like that's not even right, because we do everything when you're an entrepreneur. Like, I'm my own accountant, and I'm my own web person, and I'm my own tech person. And so it's not that necessarily. It's just that there's this like, there's something finite about it. You're right. That's a better word than tangible.
Yes, and it's funny. I like what you say, because when you first said, okay, I'm thinking about this job, I thought, I need to do that too. I can be just like Ronnie. But I thought it is that, okay, it's not all day, every day, but what gives you, like we talked about, blogging fodder, podcast fodder, ideas for Greenlight Bites, your recipe website, what gives you those kind of things, but getting sparked by being out in the world?
Yes. Yeah. In a weird way, having a job. I went through this the last time I quit my job. Like, I quit a job when I was blogging, and then I got another job very soon after, because I couldn't handle the idea of not having a job. It was it took me a really long time to come to terms with not having a job, because I've been working since I've been 14. I can't fathom not having a job. But yeah, there's something about, if you really do take blogging seriously as you could take blogging. But for me, I take it seriously, as in I kind of committed to this journal. I want to keep this journal for as long as possible. Yeah, when you do things, then it gives you more fodder for your blogs. So I haven't really blogged a lot about the gym, though, in a weird way. It's now more how I'm managing life, because I have this another responsibility.
Yeah.
So I kind of like organically finds it's not like I'm coming home at the end of the day and going, this is what happened at the gym today, and I saw these people. It's kind of like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to make dinner now, and like, it's like,
which all goes back to the what you can, when you can, living that whole lifestyle. It's, as our troll likes to tell us, sometimes we may have the luxury of not living that lifestyle, which I don't think is really true, but I can see what she's saying. But right now you're even more forced into that with your blog stuff job and this second job.
Yes. Yeah. I kind of thrive on that, figuring out a new routine situation I kind of put myself in. Like, I enjoy it, actually. It's like because I like to solve problems. So in a weird way, I have a new problem to solve.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let me, so I'm not only solving problems so I'm kind of in my comfort zone. In a weird way, over the last 10 years, being put out of my comfort zone has become my comfort zone, if that makes sense.
No, that's a really good point. That makes a lot of sense. That I mean, it's what I've seen people say kind of tongue in cheek, like, okay, so we're now all thinking outside the box. So does that mean that inside the box is the creative thinking? But it's that same sense of that is your life begins at the end of your comfort zone, and that's where your entire life is. It's such an interesting point.
Yes. And it took me a lot. I struggled with the decision on whether or not I wanted to do this for a little while. And then as a byproduct of this, since I'm working at a CrossFit gym and I've been CrossFitting for 2.5 years, I have decided to sign up to get level 1 certified, which is like a huge shove outside of my comfort zone.
And what is that?
So to train CrossFit, like to train in a CrossFit facility, you have to have your certificate, your level 1 certificate. So like CrossFit has a very regimented kind of certificate system. And for you to basically do anything, you need to be certified at least level 1. And I never really had any aspirations to train people, but now I have to say, spending more and more time in the gym and more time around people and them asking me, I'm getting comfortable with this idea that, oh, I'm kind of a subject matter expert here.
And I would want the certification. It's like people that go, which blew my mind when I first learned this, to law school and they never take the bar because they want the knowledge for whatever else career-wise they are pursuing. I would want the knowledge just doing what you're doing, even if you never decide to train.
Yeah. And I don't know if I ever will actually train, but you're right. I just want it almost as I feel like it's a qualifier for me I can't work in a CrossFit gym unless I actually can prove that I know the basics of CrossFit. So
what about kids? Because I know we've talked about that. I've been thinking so much for me with, unlike you, I keep thinking, I'm still panicked. I would love to I did a lot of yoga for kids through this online certification. We lived in Oakland. We did it outside on the playground once a week. And it's like, I'd like to do that again. I should be Ronnie and get a job at a yoga studio, just working there. But you need to do that same thing for most yoga studios, get certified for adults. And then you do the subspecialty for kids.
Yeah.
So is that the way it is with CrossFit?
It's exactly the way it is with CrossFit. Okay. And that's my plan. If I was ever going to actually train, it would be kids. And I can't get the kid certification without the level 1 certification. So yeah, it's like a step thing. And we actually had CrossFit kids classes at my gym, and then the trainer left. And so there's a void there that I'm hoping to be able to fill too. And my kids miss it desperately. It was like a fun outlet for them. They have all these fun games they play. I think people hear CrossFit and they think, why would you have your kid CrossFit? It's like dangerous.
Oh my gosh. And I think that I don't even do CrossFit. And I think that is it seems like that's what kids do naturally.
Yeah, actually, that's what I've witnessed. Like when I see the kids taking the class, like they just do these fun games and like they reinforce like the moves and stuff like that. But it's not like they're lifting for an hour. Like they're playing games and running around and learning how their bodies work for an hour. Like
even the things that I think of as CrossFit, which may not be, so feel free to jump in. And I'm thinking of my friend Lisa, Workout Mommy, with like the tires and all that kind of stuff. Now I know that you don't do full weight things like that with kids, but that's the kind of movements they do on the playground.
Yes.
Naturally.
Yes, naturally. And I know like for Evan, my 4-year-old, when he started, he was deathly afraid to tumble, just to do a classic tumble. And so she like built him up to it. And she was like teaching him how to do like the roll over and the pencil roll when you put your arms over your hand.
Oh my gosh. I love kids.
It's so
I could never get back into adult training. Been there, done that. But kids, it would be worth it to me to do the level 1 certification in your shoes or the full teacher yoga training to be able to work with kids. Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Come December, I volunteer at my son's school for Fit Club. So
yes,
that's with 1 day a week. And now I'll be certified when I go back. Hopefully, if I pass the test, because that's
you'll get a pay raise from free to free plus.
From free to free qualified. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So do you feel like your life is crazier or no? You're finding a routine.
It's crazier, but it's not any crazier than it. I feel like I have more responsibility now. So I guess that's a level of crazy, but in a weird way.
I think we need Bill on here to ask, does he feel like his life is crazier? Do you think he'd say yes?
He might say yes, but he's picking up my slack. That's why. And I think as a wife of a man in 2015, that's a good thing.
What do you think the biggest change has been for him?
Waking up earlier in the morning to take the kids to school. Definitely by far. That's what
No, you never do that now. And that was such a part of your wycwyc lifestyle.
Well, actually, I still come home. Okay, here's my morning if you really want to know. So here's my morning. So I wake up, I now go to the gym at 5:30 instead of 6. So I can open the gym at 5:30 because I feel as a gym owner now that it is important for the gym to be open before, like you can't have a class start at 6 and then the gym open at 6.
That used to make me crazy because I was the one when I was in grad school standing at the gym door at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
And they were always late.
I'm not a big fan of that. So I now go in at 5:30 to open the gym. So I go a half hour earlier than I used to. And then I take the 6 a.m. class with everyone else that I've been taking class with for the last 2 years. And then I come home. So thankfully the gym's only 5 miles from my house. So I come home so I can have breakfast with the kids. And I have breakfast with the kids. I like make sure, everything's in order with the kids.
How far is the gym from your house?
It's 5 miles. So it's not bad.
No, not at all. Okay.
Not at all. So I come back, I have gym, and I basically get Ryan on the bus, and then the husband wakes up and handles the 4-year-old to get him to pre-K. So it's kind of like I still come home and I'm still with the kids, but I like don't have all that responsibility of getting him dressed, brushing his teeth, and getting his coat on, and like
yes. I really think sometimes that I have a lot of friends who don't work outside the house and they love it. They thrive on it and it makes them a better person. It's them. But sometimes I think I would be a better mother and more patient in the morning if I just somehow showed up and she was already dressed and ready to go. Yeah. I'd be super patient walking her to school if I didn't have the fights of brush your hair.
Where's your shoes? Well, I don't know where your shoes are. I don't know where's your book bag? Where you have your folder? Do you have your homework? It's like this never ending. Yeah. So now I kind of come in and just do the fun. You're right. I come in and just do the fun stuff. Because I think it's really because my husband's not a big like get up in the morning and have breakfast kind of person. So like he would go and take a shower and just leave, if that was up to him. So I kind of do the hands-on like breakfast, sit at the table. What do you have going on today, kids?
Yes,
kind of
and I love that.
Right. And he does all like the autopilot mechanical stuff. Like he gets out, gets a shower, gets your shoes on, gets you dressed, grabs your lunch out of the fridge and gets to the car, bus on time, blah, blah, blah. Like he does. And I'm more of like the organic mob, like, have a good day, kid. Like I'm just having all like.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go backwards, and now we're totally off track. But when you say grab the lunch out of the fridge, now who has made the lunch? This has been on my mind lately, not with you, with myself.
I'm the lunch maker. And
I still am as well, in the sense of she could make her own lunch. I still leave her notes. And when I think, oh my gosh, homegirl's almost 10, like this is getting a little old, and I don't leave her a note. She comes home. One day I left her. I'm a big believer in all things in moderation. We don't do a lot of treats or junk during the day. So I'll always tuck something in her lunch, one little mini Reese's cup, whatever. But one day I did that, but didn't leave her a note. And she wasn't even excited about the candy. She was sad there was no note, which shocked me still. But I make the lunch. I don't mind. People say you need to make her do it. I'm like, I kind of like it.
I don't make Ryan's lunch. I make the 4-year-old's lunch.
So Ryan buys now.
Ryan buys mostly, and then if he doesn't want to buy, he actually monitors the lunch menu. And then if there's a day he doesn't like, then he'll make his own lunch, which is great. But for Evan, I make Evan's, a preschooler. I make his lunch.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could do those Pinterest. I love the women that do this on Pinterest. I think I said this before. The bins, which look... I need to just get this out, even though it's off topic. Okay, so it seems like it's very wycwyc. The bins of course, they're lovely clear bins, and they have baggies with fruit.
Like the categories of food. They can pick their own. Yes.
I just look at that and think, oh yeah, I would do that on Sunday, and the fruit would be black by Tuesday.
Yeah,
so
I don't have time for that.
Work. All of it. I'm just like, this is not going to work. And I don't mind making the lunch. I mean, I don't mind making the lunch. And she doesn't want to buy. I would definitely let her. But she's like, oh yeah, it's gross.
I actually just blogged about bookends on the blog.
I saw that.
Yeah. And it corresponds. So the lunch, I now make lunch. So while I'm cleaning up dinner, I open up his lunchbox on the table.
That is exactly what I did.
This is like my wycwyc lunch making tip, right? I keep the lunchbox open. I'm cleaning up dinner, and it's like, oh, we have a handful of broccoli left. Ziploc bag, boop, in the lunchbox. Oh, there's some chicken left.
I think that's why I don't mind. It doesn't feel like yet another thing on my to-do list, like even maybe laundry or whatever does. It feels really easy.
I don't mind making the lunch either. And I get them involved. I have them like, oh, what do you want as your vegetable today? Because I always have, I have this like, my whole lunch approach is like, basically a protein, a grain, a fruit, and a vegetable, like very.
I think that's what makes it so simple. Yes.
Yeah. And so the whole bento box thing works for me because I'm like, there's your protein, there's your grain, there's your,
Yes.
yeah. And so it's not, and sometimes he gets like a bagel and cream cheese and cheese sticks and peppers. And then other days he has like leftover chicken, or actually yesterday he went in with leftover pasta and a cheese stick and green beans. That's what he had his lunch.
It is really easy. I have to say my other wycwyc thing, making things easier on myself, which I was telling our mutual friend, Shauna Reed, Diet Girl, and I was like, I have started doing this. I know you'll probably be appalled. And she said, oh, I've done that for years. And people used to make fun of me. It's $4. Now it's more than that, depending on your tip. And I'm almost embarrassed to say this because the grocery is like super close to me. I've been doing grocery delivery.
Oh,
I'm a better grocery shopper on that app. And it go right by the list. I get it from the app. I say organic if I want organic. Now I still go once a week, but like this morning, it was heaven. I grocery shopped like 5 a.m. when the child was asleep. It arrived at 8. And that's, I mean, it is, I'm a big tipper because I am like 5 minutes away from being back in the service industry, but it is so money well spent for me.
I get it. I would never do it only because it's me, but I totally see the appeal. But for me, I'm such a, I use this word way too much, but I'm a very organic shopper, and I don't mean like organic protein.
No, I am not.
I am. So I like peruse look, pineapples look really good today. And then I enjoy the act of reacting to what's available through the week versus going.
I'm the one who follows the recipe. So yes. And it started for me when it was quite literally going to be like 104 one day. And I thought, I don't feel like carrying all this to the car and all that. And it's been the greatest thing ever. And, I don't go to Starbucks. We never eat out. For me, being the over tipper, so it's probably $14 if it's $4 for the delivery fee, and then I give them 10. But it is unbelievably worth it.
Yeah, I don't even think you need to justify it. I have a fly.
No, it's awesome.
I don't think
that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it works for you. It works for you. It's kind of like you always say that you buy the like the nuts in the single serving bag. I don't think you need to justify it. It works for you. Yeah.
It has been the best gift to myself, wycwyc, because for some reason, to me, eating out doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like I want to go for sushi and the husband loves Mexican and now we're compromising and this is a gift.
Right. Yeah. So that's awesome. It works for you.
I am really excited because it feels like our book has been out for a while now. And I know when we were writing it, I realized while we were doing it, this is what I do. I do this every day. This is really exciting. We're writing a book about what we really live. And then the book came out in May and it's been a few months and I don't really think about it every day as much anymore. But I had this big opportunity, super big opportunity, not really supposed to say what it is yet, really excited. But my first thought was, and I remember saying this to you, I'm afraid. I'm really scared to say yes to this.
It's your edge of your comfort zone, possibly?
Edge of my comfort zone. And it's that quote that I love about fear putting excitement on pause. I thought, I would only be excited if I weren't getting distracted by fear. So I got this opportunity and I looked at it and I remember telling you what the whole greater opportunity was. And I thought, I only really want to do half of this. And it was that 10 years ago, I would have looked at it and thought, half of this looks really fun, exciting, edge of my comfort zone in a really great way. And the other looks like I am not really interested in doing this. And I would have done the whole thing. But as we talk about all the time in our wycwyc book, it's that ask.
Yes.
You might not get what you need, but surely no one is going to know what you need unless you ask. So I said to the people who offered me the opportunity, and it did kind of blow my mind. I need to relay this to them at some point. This is what I can do. The other part I just can't take on right now without missing a beat. Their response was, thank you for being able to do that. We'll get the rest of the other piece covered.
That's awesome.
And it was such a reminder of the ask. And then it also brought me back to something I really do try. Now I'm really excited. So 2 things. The first one was never saying yes in the moment. I was sharing this with a friend and she said, well, what are you going to say? If they tell you, great, you can only do half, are you going to say, I'm in? And I said, no, I never, ever, ever say yes in the moment. I will just tell them that.
Right. I just gave that advice to someone else, but yet
Yes.
I still have a hard time
Oh, I
following it.
never do because it makes me nervous. And I said, oh my gosh, this all sounds really great. Let me sit with this and I will email you by end of business today. And then they reflected back at me. They said, that's great. We're excited to have you on board. We look forward to definitely hearing from you by end of business.
Oh,
So I was like, okay, they got it. So I didn't say
awesome.
yes in the moment, which was really good. I took a beat and thought, now that I've stopped the fear and I'm overly excited, am I taking on too much? And I decided no. And I said yes. But it was also the asking for what I needed and just being really clear about it. They never would have known. And when I asked, it was fine.
Right. The world. Well, yes, and why is it that we have a hard time asking? I don't know why.
I would have taken it on and resented it. I think that that's something I learned like 10 years ago and a little bit from my mom, God bless her, that when you say yes, but you mean no. So if I had taken on the entire assignment, but meant I really only want half, I would have been so mad at them and resented them, and they would have had no idea.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. You end up internalizing so much and and they don't have any clue. That's like the part I always try to remember.
Clue.
Like they have zero
And I
clue.
think that's a lot of marriage or friendship relationships.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yes, I'm mad at you because I'm doing you a favor and you had no clue I didn't want to do the favor.
Right, because I told you I didn't mind or
Yes,
sure. It goes
exactly.
It goes back to that word we talked about last podcast, the fine word. Well, no, you're not really fine. Actually answer the question.
And ordering. I mean, it's like asking for what you want. It is so crazy. When they said, do you want this whole big thing? No, I really only want half. Okay. Do you want the salmon coated in cheese and other glop? No, I just want the salmon. Oh, okay.
Right. Yes. It's funny. I just shared an article just like an hour ago on my Facebook page. I don't know if you saw, or my Facebook wall, my personal account. And it was this article. It was kind of a funny article saying if women were in a business meeting, how they would have to say these famous sayings that men have said. It's fascinating. And I read it. I'm like, I'm so guilty of this. I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of not just like blurting out my idea or asking my question. I always have to be like, well, you tiptoe around it. Like you're afraid to assert yourself, or you're afraid to, let your true intentions be known, or you're afraid to ask for help for whatever reason. It's like a lot of women, not all women, but a lot of women have that like internal filter where they think they have to be nice when they say it, or they have to hide their actual true intentions, or they have to just swallow it and take it on without actually asking for help. And I remember when I first blogged about asking for help years ago on my blog, it was my mom who commented on I'll never forget it, because every once in a while when my mom comments on my post, I get this like harsh reminder of, oh, she's reading, which I forget she's reading.
I tried to forget that too.
Yeah. So I wrote a post about asking this was about 3 years ago when I wanted to start taking CrossFit in the morning, but I couldn't make it work with my schedule. And I had to ask the husband to wake up earlier a few days a week. And so I can do it. And I did. And so I blogged about that experience of me kind of saying, this is really important to me. I really want to do this. Do you mind waking up earlier? And his response was pretty much, sure. And I thought, why?
And if you didn't ask, you would have been resenting him.
I would have been resenting him.
No idea. And I would have resented these people because I took on this whole big thing when I only wanted half. And it just, when they were like, no, that's great. That's fine. We'll take the other half. And now I'm feeling like, oh, I bet I could probably do it all if you need a hand later. But if I'm helping them with the whole big thing later, they will be appreciative rather than my doing the whole big thing and them not being grateful because they don't know they should be.
Right. Yeah. It's like, we weave our own kind of drama there, I think sometimes, but yes, very excited for you.
I know. I'm super excited.
When will you be able to share what it is that you're doing?
I think November 3rd.
Oh, so like by the next podcast.
I know, you're right, by the next podcast.
Sometime around that time, since we're now, our 2-week schedule was messed up. Okay, so you did bring a article to the table. I love how we always have at least one article to discuss in our podcast.
Yes. And now I am trying to find the title of the article because I've gotten so focused on the one. It's writing down your goals. It was from New York Magazine, I think.
It's from, well, yes, New York Magazine. I have it actually. I am prepared with my million windows open. Yeah, New York Magazine, and the title of the article is "Don't Underestimate the Simple Power of Writing Down Your Goals." Yes.
It's interesting how just reading the title made me think, okay, this person is definitely not even wycwycer, but blogger, because I think we are all very much, very much in touch with that huge power of writing down our goals. So that was my first thought when I saw the title.
Right.
But the sentence that stuck with me is writing down. It talks about, why this works and who it worked for. And one of the sentences was writing down their internal motivations and connecting daily efforts to blue sky goals is what helped them succeed. And I thought that's what made it wycwyc for me, in the sense of, I have this huge goal. It's to be able to walk a mile without taking a break, whatever it is that might feel blue sky to me. And when you write them down, it's connecting those. Today I walked half a block without stopping. That feels like nothing. But by writing it down, it's connecting those small daily efforts that add up to those enormous steps.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I think, and that whole section where there's a whole section in there where they explains why people were getting positive results from writing down their goals. And actually, there's a whole nother twist to that we don't want to get into, but I'll read it. I'll read the whole precursor to that. They believe, the person's name, Peterson, believes that formal goal setting can especially help minority students overcome what's often called stereotype threat, or in other words, fascinating, to reject the damaging belief that generalizations about ethnic group academic performance will apply to them personally. Here, writing down their internal motivations and connecting daily efforts to blue sky goals may help these young people solidify their identities as students. So I almost think like it's a step almost before the goal. When you write it down, you start to self-identify as, and we talk about this in the book, right? What would your future self do? Right? That's a huge thing. So by the act of writing it allows you to kind of start to buy into the fact that you can do that you are a person that can achieve this goal, because you're starting to self-identify with whatever that goal might be. It could be to get your law degree or lose 100 pounds or whatever, but the act of writing it is kind of it's an identity creator. And that's why I think blogging was so powerful for me in my goal achieving. Because when I started writing about it, I started to self-identify as a weight loss blogger. What do weight loss bloggers do? They lose weight, right? So for me, writing is, and as someone who hated writing and still has a hard time describing myself as a writer, even though I have a published book and 2 self-published books, maybe I should get over that and call myself a writer. But writing for me has been really super therapeutic, and it has helped me achieve almost every goal I have ever set. I've even expressed in word some way or another, whether or not it was in the blog or it was an Instagram writing or a Facebook, but I express it somehow. And
it seems so permanent. 2 things that made me wonder, and I might have missed this first one, is it the physicality of writing it down? Do you think they're thinking literally pen, paper?
I think they are, because at the end of the article, they say the simple act of writing is more powerful than people think. So I think it's the physical act of writing, or I think it's expressing in more of a finalized format. Yes.
And it made me think of, we had short week here, which is another reason why I'm off with the podcast. And we had parent teacher conferences, and she said, we're doing a lot of cursive work this week because it's a short week. And I basically was like, why are we doing this? No one writes in cursive anymore. And she said, it stimulates different parts of the brain, the way we write when we do cursive versus regular letters. And so when I read this with that backdrop, I thought, I wonder if there's I'd be curious to find out, sort of, I'm writing down, I have become a certified yoga instructor for children. Does that light up some part of my brain, which is involved in goal setting or visualization or something like that?
Oh, I never thought about it that. See,
Yes, I hadn't either.
I never thought about it that way because I never actually physically write. I always type. So
I
I'm
tend to as
yes.
well. And I wonder if there
So
is something with the writing.
and I see, and Ryan is also going through cursive right now in fifth grade. And
Why do they do that?
well, in a weird way, I don't even, maybe, I don't know. I can't speak to the whole, it like lights up things in their brain. But in my opinion, I feel like it's definitely, because you lose that skill, right? Like I've lost the skill. My
Yes.
handwriting is horrendous. So I definitely think it's creating a like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like a, tactile brain connection that you otherwise
Hmm.
wouldn't get. And can you imagine if people like, will there be generations of people that never pick up a writing utensil? Like and
Oh,
then
you're right. You're right. You're
right.
right.
And then are they lacking some kind of connection that they need for tactile ability? Do you know what I'm saying? Like I don't
Well, they say when kids go, if kids never crawl, they struggle with reading. There's something
really.
about that one arm going forward, the opposite leg going forward, and then the other arm and the opposite leg that stimulates something in your brain that is a precursor to reading. So kids that, for
Wow.
whatever reason, don't crawl, go straight to walking. So I think you're probably right that
I never knew that. Yeah,
you'll lose things.
I always thought it was just, yeah, like, so the whole lighting things up in your brain, I didn't think about it as something that's like solidifying goals or intangible things, but more, hey, there's definitely some part of our human growth process that this helps, like, just like, textures for toddlers. Oh, they touch oatmeal, they touch meat. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's like a stimulation there that's really good. And, you might think I'm crazy, but like, so we have a newer trainer at the gym that has an exercise science background. And he's always like, for example, a box jump, a simple box jump. It's a move that CrossFitters do a lot. They just jump on a box and then step off the box and jump back off the box. And I jump on the box and I always step off the box with my left foot. I don't even think about it. I just get off the box and jump back on the box is what we're doing. And he always comes by me and he goes, alternate your feet. And I'm like, oh, and what the act of me having to think about alternating my feet,
Oh, yeah.
it's stimulating parts of my brain that are different, and it paces me, and I feel like it's beneficial somehow. Like when we get into these routines, even something as kind of silly as stepping off of a box, you get yourself into a groove, and that's all you do. But when you kind of, I don't know, push yourself to do something different, like write cursive when you don't even need to really do it.
Yes.
It's like a good thing for your development as a person. And I don't know, I got pretty deep, I think, but
No, and it goes back to shaking things up. And like we've talked about before, getting out of ruts can be as simple as driving a different way home from work because you force your brain to work in a different fashion.
it's true. Yeah. And then it stopped that whole, like, when you drive, I remember driving, I used to have like a 45-minute career. Autopilot. I'm like, holy crap, I'm already at the exit. Like, when did that happen? Like, you get lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love this for so many reasons. For some reason, I really got stuck on the connecting the daily efforts to blue sky goals because it can seem like I'm never going to get there. And everything in life is just what you can, when you can, small daily efforts that add up when you look behind you to huge changes.
Yes, actually, one other aspect of the article, which I thought was really interesting, and they call it a practical level, that by the act of writing it down, it forces the students to consider potential obstacles. So again, but because you're writing it down, you're kind of almost doing a dry run in your head of what it will take to get to those goals. And that's a good thing instead of just arriving and then having the first roadblock just derail you. You've already thought about that roadblock because you wrote down the goal. And then by the act of writing it down, you started to think about, oh, I'm going to have to do X, Y, Z and A, B, C. And then you're in a weird way, you're doing dry runs in your brain, which will help prepare you to, actually achieve that goal too. I thought that was interesting.
Yes. And now, of course, I have in my brain, and this might be interesting for a future podcast. You don't get derailed when you've written it down and you see what could potentially get in your way and you've thought about that. All of the studies that are coming out now where college students are remarkably less resilient than their previous counterparts. And they're not doing as well in college because they don't have that ability to bounce back. The minute they hit failure, it's devastating.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think it's funny. That is a whole nother conversation because I've read articles about that, about the whole, like, it's a byproduct of hovering parents and not having independent kids. Like, I've read all of those, because I'm fascinated by that.
So am I.
But for me, I think the act of writing down for goal achievement, like I used to say when I first lost the weight and everyone, was very much, it's been 10 years, so no one cares anymore that I lost weight, which is a great thing. But when it first happens, it's kind of like, how did you do it? What did you do? What did you do? So, and I kept saying it was the blog. It was the blog. The blog was really a big factor. The blog was a big factor. And when I tried to put into words why I think it worked, it's probably really related to this article, because not only did I write, I had a whole page where it was like, these are my goals. I want to be able to do this and this and this. I had actual tangible written goals, but then the blog allowed me to have an outlet that was completely in my control. So, every week I was a Weight Watchers girl. I would get on the scale. What the scale said is kind of in my control, but it's not always going to go your way, right? Anyone who tries to lose weight knows that, right? They try to lose weight. They had a great week. They exercised. They drank lots of water. They followed their points, but the scale shows a half a pound of loss or a gain.
Yes, there's so many. Yeah.
And those things always end up then like becoming just soul crushing, right? Like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I even trying? I'm going to quit, right? And that's like what kind of, for me, always starts to cycle. But the time that worked for me this last time, which has been for 10 years now, instead of like getting wrapped in my own kind of head about that disappointment, I blogged about it. Like, oh, I only got it. Why does this happen to me? I got out of my head, right? And so it gave me this outlet. And I always said, I think what made the difference was the blog was in my control and I was able to commit to it. And I committed to blogging and I was accountable to it, whether or not I lost or gained. And I wouldn't let myself walk away from that, which was 100% in my control. Whereas the scale's not in my control. What size I wear is not really in my control. Like I could diet all day. I'm never going to be size 0. I'm not. I'm 5'9". I'm not going to happen. That's not in my control. But blogging at the end of the day is in my control. So it was like, that was like a byproduct that really helped me.
And I bet people didn't want to hear that because I know people always want a panacea. And even if you told them what exercise you did, they might have wanted to hear that a little bit more, been more open to it. But that sounds really hard, which is yet a whole nother podcast. But I bet they didn't want to hear that answer. That sounds hard and a lot of commitment and time consuming.
Right.
Is there not a cream?
Hold on 1 second. Ryan's at the door.
Wycwyc podcast. Yeah, that is really interesting. And she's now off talking to Ryan. I have 7 minutes before I'm going to pick up my 9-year-old. I'm hoping she's in a good mood and that there is not cursive homework tonight, because that cursive homework, I swear, made her sweat and took her about an hour and a half. And so I did a little interlude here while you were gone talking about cursive homework.
That's okay. I can always edit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, have to. But I bet people didn't want to hear that because it is hard to write down your goals because there's that sense of I have now committed.
It is. And I remember reading things that said the opposite of my experience. And I thought that's like they said, don't write down your goals because when you invite other people in, there's an extra layer of pressure, which actually then can like counteract the problem. It's like too much pressure. And then it's like the opposite of
what people say. And that comes back to, and it ties in with my big exciting thing. I'm such a believer. I know I beat this poor dead horse to death. Language of encouragement. Coming back to, these are my goals and I don't want you to check in on me with them. This is just my outlet. You're welcome to come into my life. No comments, please. Or encourage me. And I'm going to really focus on that. And this is my upcoming project, but it's so important to define that because if people get it wrong, it can throw you into a tailspin.
That's a good point. That's a good way to think about it. I always thought about it the other way, which was there's just two kinds of people in this world. There's people that need to write down their goals and there's people that need to keep them to themselves. And I think learning which person you are is kind of, And it goes, it's like everything. It's like the whole concept of healthy living on your terms. You have to figure out what works for you. And don't let some study or something that said, if you feel in your heart that writing down your goals would be counterproductive, then they will be. So it's finding what works for you. It's this, we can't say that enough.
That is a perfect wrap up. I have 5 minutes before I need to wycwyc my life and pick up my daughter, but I do have a wycwycker of the week and I think you do too.
I do. You go first because I'm fearful that it's the same person.
No, I think I know whose yours is. Yours is not mine. And this I'm sharing without permission. But I'm so sentimental lately. And Sherry, I'm going to say Sherry Feaster. And now I'm panicking because we've never spoken. So it could be Shari, but I'm thinking it's Sherry. Tagged me on Facebook. And she said, I thought I'd share this with you. I was in Walgreens the other day and I saw this. It's like a sugar skull bobblehead skeleton
Right.
thing. Of course, everybody thinks of me and immediately thought of you for obvious reasons. And my immediate but surprising second thought was, I'm going to buy this as a reminder to always do wycwyc, even when I'm feeling heavy and clunky after a long day's work. I've named him Charlie, and he looks at me all day, reminding me. And then she did a picture.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I know.
That's like our wycwyc. What did we call them? Touchstones? What did we call
Yes, and we went back and forth, touchstones, anchors, whatever it is for you.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so out of the blue when she tagged me. I thought that's the coolest thing. So that's my wycwyc of the week.
And then another secondary one that I might just read because it's that good. So the one was from, and she's on Twitter, and her name is, I think you pronounce it Ethany Colon. And I shared this on our Facebook wall because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. So she tweeted, enjoyed my little man's first swim in the big pool, parentheses, he loved it. Without worrying about my tummy or cellulite, enjoyed the moment, wycwyc.
That is like, that was so powerful.
It was. And you know what? I get like a little tear when I read it because I'm like, that is, to me, that is like step one. Like you can want to change. Like I always felt like this. You can want to change your body. But you have to, and I know there's like this hot like button with, oh, accept yourself now. But it's not about that. It's kind of just not living, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, I read that and thought, I pray in 30, 40, 50 years from now, that is not even something anybody
that we even think about.
It's just living. It's, of course, I didn't look at my body. My kid's in the big pool. You are frozen.